Homage to Master Tupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar, and homage to the main deity of Homa today, Kalachakra Buddha. Simu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet. Our participating VIPs today are Madam to Ambassador Daniel Liao, the rep from Republic of China to Sweden and Norway, Dharma Sister Judy. Accountant to Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa. Producers for Illuminating Your Heart of CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Siachi. A member of the True Buddha School Scholars Group, Professor Wang Li. The Public Relation Director of True Buddha School Taiwan Temple, Dharma Brother Fermi Wang. Dharma Brother Gao Minglu and Mrs. Gao. Dr. Ryan Zhuang. And advisors to the Overseas Chinese of ROC, Ms. Winnie Xie and her husband, Mr. Ton. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do? Next Sunday, there will be no Homa at the Rainbow Temple. So from October 5th to October 9th, the Buddha will be in Panama. And your disciples inviting Grandmaster to preside over Mahabala and Mahottara Heruka's ceremonies in Panama. So next week we will be in Panama. I hope that we go and come back safely. And the Dharma teachings and the Dharma ceremonies will also go well and auspicious. Let the disciples in Panama obtain wonderful meaning of the Dharma. Today we had the Homa of Kalachakra. And today is the first time at the Rainbow Temple, or Rainbow Temple, that we use this the Homa method as is done in the Taiwan temple, because right here it's very tight. The space is very tight. So for the Japanese style of Homa, the Dharma masters sitting next to the Homa fire would also breathe in the PM 2.5. Because sometimes the offering items include some plastics and woods and perhaps even metals and all kinds of food that generate some kind of chemical reaction. So the masters sitting on the two sides and myself could smell. But you under there, those at a distance may not smell it, but the lineage root guru and the masters did. So if we breathe in even once a week, maybe we would have some problems with our lungs. So that's why we changed it to be like this. But it's also good, right? So the fire is still burning blazingly. And then now the air inside the Homa hall is very good, very fresh. So that is good. So this is the first time this is done at the Rainbow Temple. This kind of Homa. And Kalachakra, Heruka, as I said, the two Heruka Tantra that I exposed well and completely are Hevajra, which is the great bliss within emptiness. That's Hevajra, and I have written a book to expound on it. So Hevajra was expounded very perfectly. And as for Kalachakra, I went to many different parts of the world to conduct ceremonies of Kalachakra. And each of the countries, I expounded on the pith instructions and the key meanings of Kalachakra. So Kalachakra is also one of the perfect exposition. So every time we expound on Heruka Tantra or to practice any deity yoga, there is one principle, that your lineage is authentic and pure. You have to have pure and authentic lineage. For example, for Kalachakra Dharma, in terms of lineage, it came from the Kanzu Rinpoche or the Kanzu Fukugatu, the great Rinpoche of Mongolia, Serpu Tsuntampa, Dzangja Rinpoche, and Kanzu Rinpoche. They were the great living Buddhas of Mongolia. At that time, those who came from mainland China to Taiwan, there were two Rinpoches. One is Dzangja Rinpoche, the other one is Kanzu Rinpoche. They were both from Mongolia. And the living Buddha Kanzu, when he was in China during the Ching dynasty, transmitted the Dharma to Dupta-nima. And from Dupta-nima, the lineage was transmitted to Dupta-tali. And Dupta-tali transmitted to Dupta-darji, and Dupta-darji transmitted the Dharma to Grandmaster. So that's one lineage, authentic lineage. So for Kalachakra Tantra, Master Dupta-darji gave me the lineage Dharma transmission, and I keep it at home. That's the true and pure lineage. And the second lineage that I have of Kalachakra is from Panchen the Ninth, when he was leaving Beijing back to Tibet at the place called Yisu. What province is that? Is it Qinghai or Gansu? There was a big earthquake there in Yisu. Do you know which province is it? So you're checking the internet. In Qinghai. Yisu, Qinghai province. So that's Panchen the Ninth transmitted Kalachakra Tantra. And Master Sakya Zhengkong was there and received the transmission from Panchen the Ninth. And then Master Sakya Zhengkong transmitted it to Grandmaster. So this is also authentic lineage. And there's another kind, which is the profound lineage, where Grandmaster was in meditation and received direct empowerment and blessings from Kalachakra. So this is called the profound secret lineage. Just now in our tantric practice, as Grandmaster was performing the mudras, Kalachakra Buddha transformed himself to become a pillar of light as tall as heaven and to the earth, from the earth to heaven, and then came in and circle around in this Homa hall. So that meant that he had blessed all of us. So this is extremely precious. And the most important thing in receiving Kalachakra Tantra empowerment, there are many empowerments. First of all, the 7 empowerments, and then the supreme meaning. If you can, upon receiving the empowerment of Kalachakra and you practice it single-pointedly, then you will attain Buddhahood in 7 lifetimes. If you receive Kalachakra empowerment and you chant the mantra, then you can avoid all calamities. If you practice Kalachakra Tantra and chanting his mantra, that in the future lives you will not fall into the 3 lower realms. So you will attain Buddhahood in 7 lifetimes. And by practicing Kalachakra Tantra, you would be able to end the wars, alleviate disasters, and you would enhance peace, harmonize the climate, and prosperous harvests to be. And then you can also go to the kingdom of Shambhala, Pure Land. Recently, I found something very strange. There had been 25 typhoons in Taiwan. Taiwan is at the middle. So these 25 typhoons either go to the left or to the right of Taiwan. So the one that is in bad luck is Japan. It's so strange. Why would the typhoon always avert its path as it gets close to Taiwan and then it hit Japan instead? And there was one typhoon who turned and hit Philippines and Hong Kong and China. And there were a few that went to Korea, but it always avoided Taiwan. Is it precious? Hey, but I'm in Seattle now. But I realized there was one thing happening. Typhoon starts at Guam Island. And we have gone to Guam before. And on the island of Guam, we established the Ushina Vijaya Pagoda there. And we also performed Green Tara ceremony, which is the salvaging or the salvation Tara in Guam. As soon as we set it up, so perhaps the typhoon all turned its path and then to Japan. But there are also Shingon school and the Japanese Santrayana in Japan that they could also perform the rituals. But how come they had no power to turn the typhoon away from Japan? Then the typhoon would go to Taiwan. How come they are not capable to do so? That's the question. Because our true Buddha Tantra includes many Dharma practices like Kalachakra that Japanese Santrayana does not have. They don't have Kalachakra. And they don't have Mahotara. They don't have Mahabala. So true Buddha school is truly superior and supreme. So we can have Kalachakra as our yidam, because Kalachakra is also a Buddha. That's why we refer to him as Kalachakra Buddha. So, what does he symbolize? The most important thing you need to remember, what does it mean to be the wheel of time? Kalachakra is the wheel of time. Because our body is like the inner wheel of time. And outside, there's the outer wheel of time. What does it mean to be wheel of time? So it's the giant wheel of time. So inner wheel inside and outer wheel outside. And by combining the two, if you can combine the inner wheel and the outer wheel and then make it functional, then that would be called the special wheel or the other wheel. So through your practice, if you can merge and unite the inner wheel and the outer wheel, and that would be the practice of the special wheel, and it can destroy everything, destroy all the afflictions, all of our habitual tendencies and predispositions. That's the meaning of Kalachakra. So the wheel of time can destroy our own afflictions, our habitual tendencies, our greed, anger, delusion, doubts, pride, and ultimately attaining fruition. That's the most important meaning of Kalachakra. And the mantra, 10 syllables, which include, each has its meaning, as I explained. One is longevity, mind, material things, career, and divine transformation, wisdom, self-mastery. The meaning of the 10 syllables of the chakra. They're all very important. Now we'll continue on Lamdre. The self-arising meditation through light clarity. Start by accumulating and absorbing the mind chi on the dual execution of characters with clear spirit and light body. It arises to the most victorious yogic experience of the clear, bright, and empty Dharmakaya. The Sambuddha Tantra says the self-arising nature is commonly referred as the Dharmakaya. The yogic sensation of the bright space produced through successive practice is the mark of the fourth ground of secret empowerment. It is the perfect, immaculate goal of the school. Immaculate refers to the various kinds of languages and the 12 teaching divisions of the 6 paths, each of which has no faults and is not mixed with the speakables of the moment. Perfect refers to the power and ability to speak one language, which covers all languages. Also, on the secret 4th level empowerment, one can know the various languages of the 6 paths and to give Dharma teachings using the listener's language, mastering all the consonants and vowels legally, and attain the transcendental power of comprehending upon hearing. One attain a supreme mastery of words, and all that is spoken transforms this ground into gold. This way, one also realizes all the attainments, be awakened to the sayings, and has the ability to use any saying to teach and debate with no hindrances. One gains the self-mastery of the 4 unhindered explanations, comprehends the meaning of the true nature of everything, and can explain the meaning with no hindrances. One comprehends the determining phrases of the reasons of everything, can explain the phrases with no hindrances. One comprehends the Dharma of the naming differences of everything, and can explain the Dharma with no hindrances. One comprehends the wisdom of smooth, unhindered communication that provides answers to any questions, and can communicate any explanations with no hindrances. These are the self-mastery of the 4 unhindered explanation. Becoming the Sanskrit sound refers to the ability to make sentient beings understand using one language. When spoken, it is heard internally and externally, close and far away, and it is the merit of pleasing 60 languages and scales of wonderful sounds. So that's the part for today. So here, about this excerpt, it did talk about debate. Long ago in India, any spiritual teacher who was a Mahasiddha had to receive any challenge, which means seated on a Dharma throne, and anybody can ask a question, and he would be able to explain them all very clearly. If you use the treatises, like the ornaments for clear realization, now say we want to have debate on it, the ornaments of clear realization, and he would be seated above, and then other people would ask questions, and if he wins the debate, that means he has the attainment. So typically speaking, in India, there's a rule. Those who win the debate, and even the kings and the emperors, would become the judge. And then if they win, then they would receive a parasol like this. And the Venerable Atisha, he had mastered many sutras and treatises and abhidharmas, and he was very serious in his studies. And in his debate, there was a heretic of the deviant path with 13 parasols, and Atisha won over him. So the 13 parasols belonged to Atisha, and then he had to forego his temple and his disciples to Atisha. So 5 parasols, one with 5 parasols had a debate with Atisha, and Atisha won. So that's why he had keys to 108 temples. So if you lose in the debate, then you have to give the key of your temple to the winner. So that's how it was then. So at the end, Tsongkhapa also was involved in a debate on sutras, like in Tibet. So as the center or the topic of the debate, which sutra or which treatise, and then lots of people around him asking questions to test him. And then he can explain and win the debate. Then he would receive like the examination for Keshe, like for a doctorate. And the Venerable monk Xuan Zhuang was the same too. He studied Yogacara in India, and at the end he was seated on the high throne and invited everyone to debate. But the good thing is nobody came, so that's why he won. Nobody asked any questions for several days. So finally he won because nobody came to challenge him. So he won. So I won. So that was the Venerable monk Xuan Zhuang from China who went to India. So what was talked about here was about language. After you studied Buddhism, through hard work and diligence, you look ordinary, just like an ordinary person, but how much of the sutras and the treatises, the compendiums, the Vinaya, Sutra and Abhidharma, how much do you know inside you, in your mind? That's the question. So I often ask, have you read The Ornament for Clear Realization by Maitreya Bodhisattva? It was authored by Maitreya Bodhisattva. Dharmakirti and Chandrakirti's Madhyamaka Karika. And how about by Dignaga and all the Vinayas? And how about the Dwada Sanikaya Sastra and the Mahaprasna Sastra and all these compendiums, the 5 great compendiums, the 6 treatises, and the Mahayana Karika, Mahayana Sutra Lamkara, or any one of them even, please raise your hand. So someone raised his hand there. Which one did you read? But that's the Madhyamaka Karika, Mulya Madhyamaka Karika by Nagarjuna. It was transmitted by Nagarjuna, but it was written by Chandrakirti. And someone who is not a monk or a nun has read it, but the masters never read it. But when Grandmaster has passed away, then you would become a guru. Then you have to expound on these treatises to people. Oh, you have read it, but you don't want to, you're too shy to mention it. Then I would be too shy to ask then. If you want to become a guru, a spiritual teacher, or a spiritual head, then you have to read all the sutras and Abhidharma. Then you would be like a doctorate of this knowledge. Then you would always not fail. Doesn't matter what questions they ask. It's mentioned here. Self-arisen great wisdom meditation through light clarity. What does it mean? So when your body and mind receive peace and ease, and then you also understand the sutras and the Abhidharma, then you would be endowed with great wisdom. The wisdom you attain through the sutras and the Abhidharma, and also through the instructions by the gurus. And you also need to be able to handle all the deviant followers, and whatever statement they make, you can handle them. So this is all about language. You can explain it very clearly. You're capable of expressing them in words and languages. Immediately it would be understood about Madhyamaka, what is Madhyamaka, and what is the Madhyamaka Salvantrara, and what is the Madhyamaka Prasangika, and what is the Madhyamakaya Yogacara. And you need to be able to explain all of them clearly. Chandrakiri's Madhyamaka Vadhara. So True Buddhist school actually belongs to the Prasangika view of Madhyamaka. Although they were all transmitted by Nagarjuna, there's the Sautrantika Madhyamaka, Prasangika Madhyamaka, and the Yogacara Madhyamaka. Each has their own differences, and I will explain them clearly in the future. So here you need to understand about the fourth level empowerment secrets. So for the 4 levels, one is the base empowerment, the inner empowerment, and the empowerments for the highest yoga tantra and for the great perfection. And you will be able to know the various languages of the 6 paths. So this is talking about what the ghost witch had been talking about. So her ability to talk to animals, like an ability to talk to animals and to beings in hell, is an attainment from the secret 4th level empowerment. So to hell beings, animals, hungry ghosts, the human beings, heavenly beings, asura beings. So when the secret empowerment has reached the 4th level, it is only possible for the 4th level. Without this empowerment, it's impossible. So Grandmaster is already not bad. I can say, Aiseteru asarangi, hola amigo, te quiero mucho. Those are languages, but these languages can generate power. In giving Dharma teaching, you need power, a true power, a real power. You can be like this. Yeah, okay. Giving Dharma teaching like this, and then you're coughing. And please read on your own and you'll understand. Otherwise, just check in your dreams if there will be instructions from the Bodhisattvas. You will not understand even after listening for a while. I have heard about it. So the most victorious yogic experience is the clear, bright, and empty Dharmakaya. So it has mentioned what Dharmakaya is. The intrinsic primordial nature inside your body. It's not gender, but it's the original nature that had always been there. It's called Dharmakaya. That's what Dharmakaya is, Dharma body. So that's why the Buddha said, he finally understood that every sentient being has that Buddha nature, the intrinsic Buddha nature. And it's also referred as the Dharmakaya. So the yogic experience of the bright space, clear light and empty space. So once you have attained the clear light, the bright clear light, like what Grandmaster just saw, that Kalachakra Buddha transformed to become a pillar of blue light. That's the blue light, that's the clear light. Bright and empty. Have you comprehended the empty nature? Have you comprehended the true emptiness? So empty nature is actually talking about the true emptiness. Have you comprehended? Have you been endowed with the clear light, brightness, and empty nature? Only then you would perform the secret fourth level empowerment of the enlightenment path. Tsongkhapa had the transcendent power of soul travel, and Atisha did too. The Venerable Atisha, the Venerable Atisha went to the Sangha offering of Sakyamuni Buddha, and he was the only laity, and the rest were all monks and nuns. And Sakyamuni Buddha saw that little nobody, that little smart ass. Of course, he didn't say smart ass, but Sakyamuni Buddha recognized him. So, like the smart ass, what does he desire in this world? Does he still have any greed? And the rest were all ordained monks, only one with hair, seated on the seat of the Sangha. So this smart ass still has desire for what? The Buddha referred to Atisha, and Atisha became repentful. And Eventually, he became ordained at 29. At 29 years old, he became a monk. So Atisha was already incredible because he was extremely knowledgeable about the sutras and Abhidharma. He was very proud. And one time, as he was full of himself, that nobody can be compared to him, because nobody all over India ever won over him. He was extremely proud. And at that time, a Dakini appeared and took a few sutras to show him. Have you read the sutra? And Atisha said, no. And then she took other sutras, and he never even saw the sutras. He did not even know the names of the sutras. So the Dakini told him, so what is there to be so proud about? Oh, I'm really sorry. He became embarrassed, and he nodded his head. And there are many more sutras in the Dragon Palace and in the places of the Dakinis. There are many more sutras there. So maybe you have mastered the sutras in the world, but that's not complete. There are more profound sutras somewhere else. So today, like Grandmaster, cannot be so proud either. Although every single day I would read Sutra and Abhidharma and the treatises every day. And I can have direct communication with the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And I have known about clear light and empty nature. But even then, you cannot be so proud, because there are so many things in the world that you can completely understand. As we know in the martial arts books, so the strong people, I mean, there's always someone better from you at something. Last night, after I spoke to Lian Mingyang at the temple, and I went home, and Golden Mother told me, so what is success in your study, what is success in your career, or what is your success in your wealth? So our US President Trump, is he successful in his career? Yes. And his wealth, his power as a President of the United States, and his position as a president, that's the highest position. But Golden Mother just say 4 words about Trump. And of course, if I say it publicly, that's not right. Let me just say 3 words instead of 4. So a king of the it's not just chaotic world, but jerk, like So like a bastard, like the king of the bastards, the king of the wretch, I should say, the king of the wretches. And then the president of Taiwan, then the little witch of the wretch era, of the wretch era. So whether you have success in your study, in your career, they were all called of the wretch. So even if you have success in this study, career, or you're still someone from the evil world, or from disorder, or from chaos. So it's best that we just become a monk. So Atisha was also a king in the chaotic time. So what Golden Mother said was correct. It's the king of the chaotic era. It's better to become a Dharma king instead, because a Dharma king has some transcendent power that can see the bright clarity or bright clear light, and can also comprehend the true meaning of the emptiness, and can demonstrate the power of languages. It's very strange. When I go back to Japan, my language ability recovered. So some fellow disciples followed me on a tour to Japan. And then she said that she had a headache. And then I went to the pharmacy and asked. And I said, "Atama itai," which means I have a headache. And then another disciple wanted to buy medicine for Atlas food, and he showed his feet and did this, and the Japanese knew. So when I go to Japan, naturally the Japanese come back to me. So it's really fast for me to learn languages. Do you know? In America, how do I say faucet? Water dragon head for the faucet. And I tell a Caucasian and he understood. So that's the language power. Philadelphia. Sleeping. Dead inside the bottle. 死在瓶子里. So I did not know English, but I have the power of language, so I can communicate. So when the car is broken, not my car no good, but engine is broken. he understood. So at least we can communicate. And it keeps improving, and sumo is better. When the Buddha was giving Dharma teaching, he was incredible. He would speak, and each of his disciples would receive different understandings. So one sound can transform into thousands of Dharma. You just make this one sound, and you know that's the primordial sound of the universe. So that's the primordial sound of the universe. So one sound can transform into thousands of Dharma. The teacher asked Xiaoming, the title of your composition is My Dog, the dog in my house. But it is the same exactly as Xiao Chang. Did you copy it hers? And Xiaoming replied, no. But they are twins. The dogs were twins. So they look very similar. That's what he said. Xiaoming was very smart. He had a very good language capability and also great understanding. After the surgery, the patient checked the bills, and there was one extra thing, the fee for getting on the internet. And the nurse replied, when we did operation on you, because we haven't seen anything inside your belly, so we had to go on the internet to check. So that's why there's fee for it. So they did not know what was inside his belly. That's also very extraordinary or abnormal. The woman tells the man, when I see you, it's as if I see the ocean. And the man was really happy. I am as great as the ocean, as majestic as the ocean. And the woman replied, I would get seasick, so whenever I see you, I want to vomit. That's also the marvelous language. So, if in the future, women seeing a man that they dislike, you can say, oh, when I see you, it's as if I see the ocean. And the man would be happy, but actually because you want to vomit. Someone is ugly and fat and has no figure, and middle-aged woman that's totally safe from opposite sex. And she went to the police officer and said, there's a man that's following her. And the police officer looked at the woman up and down. And then told her that maybe the man was drunk. Don't worry. It'll be fine. So we can't drink, because that's one of the precepts, because it will make you out of control. 5 people went fishing and caught octopus or a squid. Oh, so you can talk to an animal. So that must be, you must have receiving the 4th level inquiry. So please don't eat me. Okay, but let me test me. And the squid replies, sure, ask me. But actually the word ask in Chinese also sound like roast or barbecue. So about words, you should not take it out of context. You have to read them all in order to understand. So you have to read the whole article in order to understand. In a high school, it was decided that all the students should have to wear uniforms. And the teacher saw Xiaoming is not wearing the school uniform and asked him. And Xiaoming got angry. Oh, because my parents are not dead, why should I want to wear the filial clothes? Actually, the school uniform sounded like the funeral clothes. So the people who made these jokes must have learned about words and languages, because languages can make people laugh. So that's the strength of the joke makers. So once you study Buddhism, it's all the same. You would be very good in debate, and you will have great mastery and eloquence in languages. So we need to know that in the future, if you want to propagate Buddha Dharma, say the members of the Sangha, the monastic community, or the lay practitioners, all the same, you have to master languages, and then you can explain and debate so that when people listen, they would feel that they get something, that it's not waste of time. And truly, if you go deep into Buddhism, then you will find that everything in the Saha world, they are truly empty. They are truly empty. And you would realize that there is really nothing to gain. And you would also realize that in your behavior and your speech, in your daily lives, you will not care anymore. You will not be bothered. And ultimately, you will realize that nothing dwells. So if you can go deep into the Buddhism, Buddha Dharma, then eventually you would become someone who attain the Tao. We are truly grateful to